We have 9 games again on Friday night. The Wizards, a couple of new insertions into their rotation. Let's talk about what they might look like. Charles Bassey looks as though he may make his return tonight. Let's see what his role looks like. It's not Bismarck Biombo, surely. Let's get into everything. This is the Friday pregame show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere and everywhere you consume your fantasy basketball content. And we are part of the Old Man Squad, at Old Man Squad on Twitter, at Dan Bespris, DanBesbris, also on Twitter or X. We still call it Twitter, don't we? So we have 9 games. We don't really have a lot of injury news other than what's relevant to the games, unless anything has happened in the last couple of minutes. And it has, well, it sort of has, but no, not really. We've got some Nets news, I suppose, about tomorrow. Cam Thomas still out, which we expected it would be a couple of games till he was back. D'Angelo Russell talked about this yesterday. Any excuse, he is out with an ankle injury. Kyle Lowry, who apparently still plays in the NBA for the Sixers, is out. And that's really it for tomorrow. So let's just get into tonight's games. Oh, that's weird. What's going on there? There we go. That's better. Milwaukee at Washington. For the Bucks, no Damian Lillard. He is out with injury management. I'm not going to give you my thoughts on injury management because I've made that very clear. Giannis, he's probable at this stage. Don't be surprised if he is a late scratch here. With Dame out, they may try to get him out there. It is a game, obviously, that they need to win against the Wizards. So, and look, Middleton coming up against his former team as well. Interesting dynamic there. So, yeah, I'd put Giannis at probably 50-50 at the moment. But with no Dame, Taurean Prince is also out with an ankle injury. So we actually have a little bit of streaming value on the Bucks, which isn't always the case. Ryan Rollins, I like him. I'm not sure he'll play enough. If Giannis is out, then I would be more likely to trust him. So give him a look. And then it's like your Gary Trent, Kevin Porter, Andre Jackson. These guys will play. Will they play enough? Maybe. It will sort of depend, I think, on how the Wizards approach this game. Are they looking to try and win it? I mean, they're so bad that they should be looking to try and win every game because they're not going to. But that will probably impact the value of these fringy kind of guys, whether we see them for 15 minutes or 25 minutes. So Rollins, if he starts, would be the guy I'd take a flyer on. AJ Green as well if you need threes. Similarly with Gary Trent. For the Wizards, Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart will make their debut for the Wizards. How many minutes do they play? Do they start? I don't think they start. I think the Wizards, it would be stupid of them to mess up their long-term starting lineup or a sizable chunk of what their long-term starting lineup looks like. So I think Middleton and Smart will both come off the bench. They'll play at least 20 minutes. I think they have to. Probably no more than 26, 28. Does that make them rosterable? Probably not. Middleton, he was playing sort of that role in Milwaukee and was borderline. I don't see anything changing. I don't think he plays back-to-backs. Same for Marcus Smart. Look, I mean, Smart in limited minutes can give you some assists and some steals. We know that. They actually don't have a lot of sort of defensive point guard upside kind of. So, I mean, he's an interesting fit here. If they are looking to try and win games, then he will play a role for them. But if they're just basically rolling them out there to show that they're healthy and playing well, then, yeah, I don't think we need to worry about them. Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, they're okay to roster. I don't think you have to. I would still rather, obviously, pull Saar, Koulibaly. Kispert would be that next tier down, I think, with Middleton and Smart. So it'll be an interesting game. Despite the fact it's going to be so boring, the Bucks and the Wizards, it will be interesting to see what their rotations look like. All right, let's do the question because we only have one at this stage. Nathan, 12-team 9-cat, Austin Reeves, Alex Sarr for Jimmy Butler, Day'Ron Sharp. Soft punting assists. I mean, you know my thoughts on Sharp. I think if he can get to 25 minutes ever, he could be top 60, top 70. Sarr, I think we've seen who Sarr is at this point, so I don't think there's too much upside for him. Reeves has been really good. Obviously, if when Luka gets healthy, Reeves is going to take a bit of a hit. Butler is very key for the Warriors, as much as I don't really like Jimmy Butler. I mean, if you're punting assists, soft punting assists, and if you're in a position to be able to take a small risk, I'd probably go Jimmy Butler and Day'Ron Sharp. But Day'Ron Sharp could stay in an 18-minute role rest of season. So there's some risk there. Sarr is locked in. He's going to start. He's going to play pretty good minutes. So I think if you are risk-averse, I would go Austin Reeves, Alex Sarr, because we know what to expect. If you can take a bit of a chance, I would go the other side of this one. All right, a couple more questions, but let's move through the games just quickly. Memphis at Orlando. For the Grizzlies, no real changes from last night, so Santi Aldama will probably find a way to put up back-end value as he tends to do. Ja Morant will hopefully have a better game. He was pretty ordinary yesterday. Jalen Wells has had a couple of decent performances, back-to-backs, I think 17 and 18 points or something. So if you do need points, you could take a flyer on him tonight. Zach Edey, Brandon Clark, that center rotation is pretty messy at the moment. From a fantasy perspective anyway. If you need blocks and rebounds, Edey is fine. Look, the minutes he plays here will be dependent probably on how much we see Goga Bitadze. Good matchup for him, not so much for Wendell Carter. Brandon Clark, I think he's a very good matchup for Wendell Carter. Is there a chance they start Brandon Clark? I guess so, but probably not. For the Magic, still no Jalen Suggs, so Cole Anthony, Anthony Black are both on our streaming radar tonight. Goga is now a streamer, I think. If he's only going to play 15, 16, 17 minutes off the bench, we don't have to hold him. There's going to be games where he comes off the bench and he's just playing so well that he has to play 26 minutes and then everyone will run to add him again. Myself included, potentially in the hope that he can build on that. But at the moment where we stand, I don't think you need to be rostering Goga Bitadze. All right, New York at Cleveland. Josh Hart is out again. OG Anunoby, questionable. He was questionable last night. I think he's close. Not sure whether he comes back tonight. We will see, and I will check. No word on him yet. Precious Achua. Look, what's going to be interesting here is if Anunoby plays, who do they start? Do they start McBride or do they start Achua? Because Achua has been starting and playing really well. McBride was very good last night. So do they play Mikal Bridges at the 2, OG at the 3, Precious Achua at the 4, or do they do what Josh has got here on the screen with Miles, McBride at the 2, Bridges at the 3, Anunoby at the 4? I'm not sure which way they will go, so we need to wait and see if Anunoby plays. Whether he does or not, I think Precious Achiuwa is still a must-roster player, as is McBride for now. And once Hart is back, then we reevaluate. For the Cavs, we know the story here. Don't really need to cover them too much. DeAndre Hunter, if you need points. Ty Jerome, if you need your guard stats. Strus, if you need sort of some threes and sneaky upside, but assists upside, sorry. But it's really the big four here. Miami at Toronto. For Miami, pretty much full strength now. So we'll get a good look at Wiggins and his minutes. How does that impact Rozier, Jovic, Burks, Robinson, Jaquez? I don't think any of those guys have to be rostered. Davion Mitchell doesn't need to be rostered at this point. I'm still hoping that Kel'el Ware can carve out sort of 26 to 28 minutes. It hasn't looked great since Wiggins arrived. He's still doing enough. I've had a lot of questions regarding Charles Bassey, Kel'el Ware, Day'Ron Sharp, Nick Claxton. A lot of questions about who do I prefer. We'll talk about Bassey when we get to the Spurs game. But yeah, look, Rozier, I guess if you need some points, he's in that streaming bucket with a whole heap of other players like DeAndre Hunter. Jovic, he's questionable, so he might not play anyway. And even if he does, they don't seem to be leaning into him as much as we hoped they would. 23, 25 minutes, not enough for him, so I don't think you need to be holding him either. For Toronto, other than Brandon Ingram and Jakob Poeltl, they're pretty healthy at the moment. Mobo will continue to start at centre. He's pretty back end. For me, there's players I'd much prefer to stream tonight than Jonathan Mobo. Grady Dick, not must roster anymore, but he's okay if you, again, need points and threes. Should just make a list of players that we can stream for points and threes. There's quite a few of them. Dick is one of those. Mobo, look, I guess if you need some defensive stuff and rebounds, he's okay, but he's not really playing starters minutes, so we don't need to worry too much about him. Detroit at San Antonio for the for the Pistons. Asar Thompson has been trending up, which is good to see. Make sure he's rostered. Tobias, assuming he's rostered everywhere. Tim Hardaway, we don't need to worry about. Malik Beasley, I've actually seen him available in a couple of leagues, so go and add him if he is. Again, he's points and threes, but he is a little bit more reliable than a lot of those other names. His role is pretty locked in at mid to high 20s, and if he gets hot, he could play 30 plus. The Spurs. So we saw them last night. We saw what the rotation looked like without Wemby, but we have another name to throw in the mix, that being Charles Bassey. And he was someone we talked about yesterday as a sort of a stash guy that if you had a spot, excuse me, go and pick him up. He's now been upgraded to probable. So do we need to add him? I think we do at this point. He's probably not going to play a ton tonight. He's coming off an MCL sprain, which is the same knee that he tore the ACL in last season, I think. So they will be cautious here. 20 minutes, maybe. The fact that Bismack Biyombo is starting is good for Bassey because Biyombo is not a 25-minute-a-night player. He's on a second 10-day contract. There is a chance that they have simply signed him again to soak up the minutes until Bassey is back to being able to play 25, 28 minutes a night. There's a chance. They can play Jeremy Sohan at the centre, as we know. So Biyombo, no. Bassey, yes. Sohan, make sure he's rostered. Castle, make sure he's rostered. Look, I guess Barnes is a winner here in terms of opportunity. That doesn't mean you need to go and add him, I don't think. You can. Same goes for Keldon Johnson. You can. But I would much rather Sohan, Castle, and Bassey over those three. Pelicans at Dallas. For the Pelicans, Alvarado, make sure he is rostered as well. I've seen him floating around in a couple of leagues. Zion playing, Eve Messi playing, which hurts Carlo Matkovic. Kelly Olynyk is also available to play. Don't know if he plays. If he does, then it probably makes Matkovic a drop. Hold him for tonight and just see, because Kelly Olynyk could be available to play but may not touch the floor. That's a possibility. I would think they'd want to try and get Kelly Olynyk out there or into the rotation in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that looks like. Remember, Zion is probably not going to play back-to-backs. So there'll be an opportunity there for Olynyk to play. So it could be pretty inconsistent. Bruce Brown has been decent since entering the rotation. Not someone we need to be adding outside of deeper leagues, but certainly someone to keep an eye on. Just to see if he plays ahead of guys like Jordan Hawkins, Antonio Reeves. Brandon Boston, who was converted to a full contract, is out, so don't need to worry about him. As for Messi, he's probably, he's in that discussion, I guess, with Bassey and Dayron Sharp, Nick Claxton to some degree, Nick Richards, Goga Bitadze. There's all these centres that if they were playing big minutes, we roster them. Messi, of that bunch, is playing decent minutes, but is probably the least trustworthy. So I think he's okay to roster, but you don't have to. For the Mavericks, Kyrie Irving will play. Klay Thompson will play. We still want to roster Max Christie, though. He is turned into a pretty key piece for this team. PJ Washington is questionable. If he plays, does he start at centre? Maybe. They could just... Moses Brown... I'd love to see Moses Brown out there. I don't think he's a great player, but he is one of those guys that can put up big numbers in limited minutes. Does he start and play 20 minutes simply to match up with Messi? I guess there's a chance. I'm not adding Moses Brown, but just monitor what they do here. PJ Washington obviously can play a small ball centre role, but I don't know whether they'd want to start him at centre. This could be a situation where, much like the Spurs with Biyombo, where Brown starts but only plays 12 to 15 minutes. So monitor. It's going to be interesting. Najee Marshall takes a little bit of a hit with Moses Brown potentially there. But I still think Marshall is okay as a soft hold. Dante Exum, who has been playing really well, had that 20... Did he have 27 points or something before the break? He's looked good, but typically he's not playing enough to warrant a permanent roster spot. The Wolves face the Rockets in the third last game, 3 to go. Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, all questionable. So not a lot we can do with this until we get word on availability, which we do not have yet. So, if Conley's out, if Edwards is out, if they're all out, then, I don't know what they'll do. Jalen Clark will play more. He's fine, I think, if you want to take a bit of a flyer on him. But again, 9 games tonight. There's players I'd rather target than waiting to find out what happens with this Minnesota rotation. Look, I think Edwards probably plays in this one. This is a matchup they would really like to win against another team in the West that they're competing with for a top 4, top 6 spot. So I think Edwards will try to give it a go. Conley, I'm not sure. Gobert, probably. But again, we will see. For the Rockets, Jabari Smith returns. Fred VanVleet is out, though. So we're not going to have to make a massive decision based on Amen Thompson and his role here, because he will just start at the point guard spot. Jabari Smith probably will start. It was a hand or a finger injury, so Conditioning should be fine. He's been targeting this date for a few weeks now, so I would assume he is good to go and should play close to 30 minutes. How does he impact Tari Eason? That's something we want to watch. Even in 25 minutes, I think Eason is a hold. He could, I guess, play 28 if they just take some minutes away from Jay Sean Tate, Aaron Holiday. So we would hold Eason. I would add Jabari Smith and just see what he can do tonight. And as for Ben Thompson, if you want to sell high on him, you could do that. But I think he still maintains a pretty consistent role moving forward despite the return of these guys. OKC at Utah for the Thunder. Cason Wallace returns. Alex Caruso returns. So they're full strength here. So we look at Shea, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein as our must-roster players. And then it's Dort, Wallace, Wiggins, Caruso, Joe, all streaming options. Of those guys, I guess Dort is maybe top of the list because he's starting, but I'd prefer Cason Wallace because I think he will play close to starters minutes off the bench, where the rest of those guys will play high teens. For Utah, Clarkson, Kessler available along with Markkanen and Collins. So they're no surprise here against the Thunder. They're rolling out a fully healthy lineup other than Colin Sexton, who is out. So make sure Kessler, who is in and out at the moment, make sure he is not stuck in an IR spot. Get him active. Everyone else should be rostered, I'm assuming. Clarkson could be floating around because he's very in and out as well, but his upside is not as high as Kessler. So if you do need points, just check if he's available. But with everyone healthy, we don't need to pay any attention to Cody Williams, Johnny Juzang, Bryce Sensabaugh, any of these guys. Even Filipowski, don't need to worry about him. And the last game of the night, Golden State at Sacramento. Just reading through stuff there. For the Warriors, pretty healthy. No Kuminga. He's getting closer, but he's not there yet. Make sure Pajemski is rostered. Moody's been playing quite well, which I like to see. Probably should be rostered at this point, at least until Kuminga is back. I'd much rather both of those guys over Buddy Hield, Guy Santos, Gary Payton. For the Kings, they are also healthy. So we're on Keon Ellis watch here to see if he plays 23 minutes or 29 minutes. It's been a bit of both, to be honest, the last 2-3 weeks. He's a steals streamer at this point. If you need steals, grab him tonight. If he plays 30 minutes, you hold on to him. If he plays 23, you drop him and grab someone for tomorrow. It's pretty simple. Keegan Murray, we are getting to the point of the season where I think he can be dropped. You don't have to drop him. It would depend who you're picking up. But he's just not doing enough, I don't think, consistently to take up a roster spot. You would get more value from streaming that spot. And let's get to some quick questions. Okay, we did the first one. Matt Carmody thinks he's jinxed. You had Diabate, DNP on Wednesday. Added Sandro yesterday, and he was a DNP. Then added Prince, and then got ruled out after he was probable. Yes, that's pretty rough. It's not stupidity. Look, again, it's looking at the process. For Wednesday, the Diabate one, we assumed he would play the backup role. And then they just came out and said, no, Nurkic is our backup. Sure, okay. We assumed Sandro would play. He didn't, for whatever reason. They just didn't want to play him. Prince, who played well yesterday, no Lillard today. Sure, he's probably going to play. And then he gets ruled out. So this is just bad luck. That's all. Joseph Kim traded Jordan Poole for Malik Monk. Did I lose or win? If so, why? I think you won. I don't think I need to explain it. Poole, I think he's a shutdown risk. It's pretty simple. Josh Hart did get announced as out, Galahad. How serious do I think the injury is? Look, no word on it. Obviously, if he's missing time, it's serious enough because the Knicks don't rest their players unless they're really injured. So it's certainly something to monitor. There is no word at this stage that it's going to be multiple games, like 5, 10, anything like that. It was a back-to-back. They might just be taking it easy here and giving him a few extra days to rest. So at this point, I'm not too worried about it. And it sounds like it's just a day-to-day kind of a thing. I guess there's a chance that, look, he could return in the next game, but does he miss more time? Do they make him sit back-to-backs? Maybe. But you can't really do anything with it at the moment. How do I rank these players? Edie, Lonzo, Murray, Castle for rest of season. Honestly, I might have Castle at the top of that list. Just, I don't know. I think he just has a nice opportunity here. Lonzo, he's pretty limited. I know it's great that he's out there, but what more? How much more can he do? I don't think there's a lot. Edie is very hit or miss. I mean, if I looked at all these guys and said who is a must roster player in a 12-team league, Castle would be probably the only one, followed by Keegan Murray, and then Lonzo and Edie. Edie is very dependent on what you need. If you need blocks, yes. If you don't, no. It's that simple. Murray is, look, if you need points, but he's not doing a lot of that. So, but he plays big minutes. That's the, I guess, when you look at just opportunity, Murray has that opportunity. And if someone like a Levine or a DeRozan were to get injured, then Keegan Murray would slide up. So hopefully that helps. Carl, in a 12-team trying to pull off a crazy trade to offload AD, what do I think of AD Collier for Kamara and Pajemski? Playoffs end 23rd of March, so thinking that AD doesn't return before then. Man, you're giving up a lot. It probably depends on the guy that you're trading to and what they think about Anthony Davis. I think you could get more for Anthony Davis because there was news yesterday that he will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. People may see that as he's coming back. Now, we know he's probably not. There's still talk of surgery, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's done for the season. And yeah, look, if your playoffs end in a month, then, I mean, maybe you get him back for a game or two right at the end, but how much is he going to play? So, look, I think this is fine. I mean, Kamara and Pajemski are both going to be pretty good, I think, rest of season, but so is Collier. If you're punting assists, though, yeah, that's probably a fair point. If you're punting assists, Collier doesn't really help you that much. So I'm okay with that. You could try for more, but yeah, if you're of the opinion that you're not going to get anything out of AD, then that's okay. Another one from Galahad. When I'm building category league teams, let's say 9-cat, are there some cats you're more inclined to punt? Yes. I mean, I could do a whole show on this because I punt in every league that I'm in, and I typically punt 3 or 4 categories. I have no issues doing that. I think I'm the only analyst that does it, so there's a point of difference for you. Are there some that I'm more inclined to punt than others? Look, it depends where I'm picking in the draft. So who I'm going to take with my first pick usually determines where I'm going with my punt. There are certain categories that I guess not collaborate. That's the wrong word, but they fit better. They're together. Well, that's bad English too. If you're punting, so if you're punting assists, I'm probably going to punt steals, maybe threes. Usually, I mean, really simplifying it, I punt bigs or I punt guards. That's what I do. So if I'm punting guards, I just target big guys. I can give you examples. If you want examples, I'll do other questions. Let me know down the bottom of these comments. I can talk you through some of my builds if you want. But let's just do some other questions first. Edie or Dayron Sharp? If you could, if you can take a risk, I'd go Sharp. We saw yesterday he played 18 minutes and he still had a better line than Zach Eady. So yeah. What's this one from Cookie Monster? Do I think you can get for anyone of a man, Murphy? Can you? I mean, in your league, you want top 50 players. So, Derek White, I don't think you'd get much for him at the moment. Mark Williams would be hard to move, I think. Kawhi, I'd probably be holding Kawhi. A men, you could probably still get top 30. Murphy, top 30. Giddy. Giddy's, you're not going to get as much for him, I don't think. Should I ask for more? Oh, so this one's from Carl. This was to do... Oh, yeah, this was the trade question. Should I ask for more if I'm trading White AD? I'd try. Whether you can, I don't know. Should I try to get Giddy and Derek White for Garland or Mark Williams and Derek White for Halliburton? Halliburton does have a good schedule. Try to get Giddy and Derek White. Oh, sure. Yeah, that's okay. I think if you want to give up Garland for White and Giddy. But again, your league, Giddy, Derek White are probably more back-end waiver wire kind of guys. Garland is probably must roster. Halliburton's been up and down, but try to trade away Giddy, White. Oh, trying to trade away Giddy and White to get Garland. Yeah, you could do that. That's consolidating. That's okay. Drop Diabate for Bassey. Yes. What's going on with Van Fleet? I think it's an ankle, isn't it? He'll be back soon. He was questionable for this one. So, yeah, I think they're just being cautious with him. Do I think we continue to see a minute split in Portland with Klingon and Williams? Yes, I do. Williams will probably sit back-to-backs. That's the downside here. But, yeah, look, if you're in a 14-team league, I would probably add Williams. He only needs to play 20 minutes. Matkovic over Bassey. Right now, I'd say no, because Misi is playing and Olenek is healthy. Doesn't mean Olenek's going to play, but I'd take a risk on Bassey. I could be very wrong, Lasavo, and Bassey could play 8 minutes and do nothing. So we will see. Schedule. Yeah, look, schedule is important at this time of year. You can actually look ahead. You only need to look ahead 2 weeks, 3 weeks rather than 20. So I would be looking at scheduling when making roster decisions. Do I think Bagley sees more run? Does he get to 15 minutes? Let's hope not, Chad, but maybe. Yeah, I doubt it. He needs like 30 minutes to have fantasy value anyway, I think. Would I drop Scoot for Asar in points leagues? I think you could. Yeah, I think that's all right. I mean, Scoot is probably the better option in points leagues because he scores more. But Asar's been playing well. Minutes are up slightly. So I think that's fine. Yeah, I don't think it's going to ruin your season or anything like that. No worries, Matt. Venting is important when it comes to fantasy basketball. That's why I do these shows, because no one in my family will listen to me. Any word if Cason Wallace is on a minutes restriction? No, I haven't heard that he is. He might be. Look, the Thunder, they don't need to push him back, so he could be. Buddy Hield or Najee Marshall to fill in for the downgraded Jonathan Isaac. Being first place. Answering this could impact my status of being in first place in the old man squad. Could it really? Well, I'll still answer it properly, won't I? I would go Najee Marshall. I think this Buddy Hield, it just hasn't been good enough for me. So, yeah, let's go Najee Marshall there. Prince's first game out for the year. It could be, yeah. So good timing there. The questions did blow up quickly, Jay Sizzle. Yeah, I had one, didn't I? And now I have, I don't know how many. I have a lot. This isn't a mailbag show, by the way, but it always ends up being a mailbag show. Lucky it's Saturday morning here and my wife and daughter are out grocery shopping and I'm hobbled and so I can't help. Is there a chance that Klingon ends up like Nick Richards in the roster? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the Blazers have far more incentive to play him. They want to see how he fits. I am concerned long term of his fit in the NBA because he lacks mobility. I don't think he will ever be a 28-minute a night player. I just don't think you can play him. Well, look, certain matchups maybe, but generally speaking, I don't think you can. His upside is pretty limited, I think. I'm not saying he's going to be like a Boban. He's much better than that, but I think he will always just be a blocks rebound specialist. Almost like a Walker Kessler, but with less offensive upside. At this point, he could develop that, but he just looks very clunky getting around the court. If D'Lo is out for an extended period, would I consider Killian Hayes as a... Look, you could. I mean, he played more yesterday than I thought he would. In a 14-team league, sure, if you want to grab him and just see what happens, I think that's okay. Daniel, do I think Lively will return and be ramped up by the fantasy playoffs in 4 weeks? I think he's reevaluated in 2 weeks as well, yeah. Maybe. I don't think... Look, the fact that they got Moses Brown probably indicates that their centers aren't coming back anytime soon. If I had to guess with Lively, I'd probably say no, but there is a chance. I mean, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So I don't think so. I mean, I dropped him in all my leagues and he's still sitting on waivers. No one's taken a bite at him yet. Another one from Nathan. I did that question for you, Nathan, I think. Yeah, I think I did. I think I went with Butler and Sharp if you are willing to take a bit of a chance. Yes, Lively is out of the boot. So that's good. If you've got an IR spot sitting there empty, if you have 3 spots and 2 of them are full, one's not, you're positioned quite well, then you could grab Lively, absolutely. Am I expecting a full workload for Middleton? No, I don't think so. Bassey over Sarr. Again, if you want to take a chance, yes. If you just want a bit of security, I'd probably stick with Sarr. Is Murphy and Derek White or Giddy for Halliburton too much? I think it's okay. Again, in your league, waiver wires are pretty good. So you're getting the best player in Halliburton there, I think. He has a good playoff schedule. So I think that's okay. I'd probably try to move Derek White, not Giddy, though. Let's see some builds. Okay, we will do some builds. Let me just quickly fly through the rest of the questions, and then we'll do some punt builds very quickly. Thoughts on Julius Randle? I think he's getting closer. But, I mean, Randle is who he is. So, what is he? Like top 100, maybe? His points, his rebounds, that's it. So, it's sort of some assists, out of position assists, but percentages are fine. They're nothing great. I mean, he's going to play, but, I mean, you could argue that the Wolves have played better without him. So I think he's fine. He's obviously must roster, but he's pretty limited. Another one from Daniel. Will Nick Smith Jr. be helpful enough in points and threes to overcome poor field goal percentage and general lack of peripherals? I just wrote about him in my waiver article, which actually came out, I think, today, but I'll tweet something about it. and he is in that. Yeah, look, I mean, he's going to be much better in certain builds, obviously. If you're punting field goal percentage, he's much better. I've got him in a league where I'm punting field goal percentage, rebounds, blocks. So all I need is points, threes, some assists and steals are nice, and they will fluctuate. When LaMelo doesn't play, he probably has a little bit more upside. But he's starting, he's playing 30 minutes, so he's only a top 100, top 120 player, so I don't think he has to be rostered, but yeah, I think he's okay. Oh no, that was a shallow league, so I'm not going to use that as an example. Galahad looking to trade LaMelo. If you offered him for LeBron, is this fair? I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I much prefer LaMelo per game, but he's going to sit back-to-backs. LeBron, the Lakers want to win, so LeBron's going to play, and he's been very good. So, yeah, I think that's okay. Scoot or Pods? At the moment, it's probably Pods, I think. Just because he's playing consistent minutes. We know the Warriors are very unpredictable, but at the moment, it's probably Pods. When looking at dropping and adding players in the top 100 range, Saar, Beal, Buzelis, yeah, those guys, how important are categories like blocks as opposed to generic rebounds points? Well, it depends on your build. We'll talk about builds in a minute, but they're equally as important. Obviously, low volume categories are easier to improve in a short amount of time. So, like, obviously, if you're looking to improve points and you added Beal, he's going to help, but he's not going to win you that category. If you're looking to improve blocks and you pick up Saar, he could average 2.5 blocks for 3 weeks and win you that category. So there obviously is a difference between low volume and high volume categories. Percentages are really hard to impact if you're streaming because usually the guys at the back end in that top 100 range aren't scoring the ball enough to actually impact. So you might pick up like a Klingon, for example, who might shoot, 70%, who knows, 65%. But when you're only taking 4 shots or 5 shots, it's not going to significantly impact your team. What else have we got? A 25-26 question. Wow, are we there already? Assuming the surgery Embiid eventually keeps him out until Christmas or the All-Star break. Oh, are we assuming that surgery Embiid? It depends when he has it. If he has it this season, and it depends what they do as well with his it's meniscus that they are his issues. I think you can replace the meniscus. I'm not 100% sure. The fact that his meniscus is basically gone, it's been trimmed twice, so there's just nothing there. That's the issue here. He has no cushioning. When I went in for my surgery appointment, the surgeon was explaining to me what the meniscus does, and I had an idea that it's in between your two legs, your tibia and your fibia. But the tibia, fibia, whichever one the top one is, fibia, I don't know, whichever one your thigh bone is. So it's actually curved and it sits on the tibia or the lower leg bone, which is flat. So that they don't naturally fit together. That is what the meniscus does. It creates that connection. So without it, it's a round bone on a flat bone. And that's the issue here, I think, for Embiid, is he just has no cushioning and he's the biggest human in the world. So his knees are just not built. So can you replace it? I'm not 100% sure if you can replace the meniscus. I thought you could, but he's going to have something done, which will probably be, it's going to be months until he's back. And even surgery, I don't think gets him back to it, because once your meniscus is gone, it's gone. So yes, there is a chance that if he has that surgery, especially if they wait till the end of the season to get it done, that he's out until Christmas. Put it this way, I'm not drafting him next season. All right, we'll just do... Oh, the femur. Yeah, see, someone in here knows what they're talking about. Femur is the thigh bone, isn't it? I should know that from horror movies because it's usually a horror-related bone. How do we rank Klingon, Bassey, and Sharp rest of season? Ooh, I have all three of them in one league. There you go. Oh, no, maybe I don't have Klingon in that league. Look, Klingon is the safest at this point because he's starting. And Aiton, who knows? He probably isn't coming back, to be fair. So Klingon is the safest. If we're looking at upside, Klingon would be last. If we're looking at what could happen, I would probably... Look, I think Bassey can be top 70. I think Sharp probably top 90, top 100. And then Klingon is probably, I don't know, like top 70, top 80. So Bassey could be the best of those three, but he is also the riskiest, I think, because we have not seen anything to indicate at this stage. We might today. We will see. Do I think Mitchell and Garland will sit back-to-backs and rest from mid-March? Maybe not all back-to-backs, but some, yes, I think so. Trying to dump Paul George and possibly Norm Powell. What value do you think you should aim for? If you're trying to dump PG, I would try and get... He's playing... whenever they play next. Not tomorrow. Isaac is out too, Chad, if you were talking about him. Giannis sounds as though he's going to play. Anunoby is a game time decision. I'm sure I saw something. Yes, so Paul George is playing tomorrow. He played yesterday. He was fine. If you're looking to move him and he plays well tomorrow, that would be the time to do it, I think. Who would I aim for? I mean, you go as high as you can, top 30. Whether you get it, I wouldn't do it, but someone might. I probably wouldn't be trying to trade for Josh Hart at the moment, just with the uncertainty. Matt Carmody's off to vent some aggression at the gym. Very good. It is a late night gym session. What? You're in like Ireland or Scotland or something. It's probably close to midnight. Gee, you're keen. Here we go. Shining Knight knows. He knows doctor stuff. Cushions and stabilizes the knee joint. Also helps the knee move smoothly. Yes, and I think that this is what they've done. He's had 2 meniscus injuries and they've trimmed both. I think that's what they've done. So there's not much left. And so that's what I think the issue is. This is not a new injury. It's just an injury that won't go away because he doesn't have a meniscus. And as I said, he's massive. He's carrying around so much size. Yes, could be the post-game show soon, Chad. Look, I think we're done. We're at the bottom now. Do I think Kamara's scoring will increase? Yeah, maybe. He looked pretty good yesterday. Where do I see him? Look, he was probably borderline top 100. He's probably top 80 now. So I think he's probably 1 or 2 rounds up. Oh, and there was an earthquake in Vancouver an hour ago, 5.1. There you go. It's exciting. Well, no, maybe it's not exciting. I've only ever been in... Well, no, we have earthquakes here, but you don't feel them. I was in Vegas in 2019 when they had the earthquake at Summer League, and that was pretty weird because the whole arena shook. I remember the lights swinging and we got evacuated and stuff. So that was interesting. All right, now I'll quickly do... Now, there was a punt question. I have no idea where it is in here. Let me just find it. It was to do with, I can't even think who asked. Continue, Giddy, playoffs. Oh, here we go. So let's do this question very quickly, and then I will have to go and do something around the house. When I'm building category league teams, are there categories I'm more inclined to punt? Okay, so let me pull up. A team. Let's pull up this team here. Yes, I know I have empty roster spots. So actually, let me hang on. I'll actually share my screen so you can see it. All right. Share. Where are we? All right. It's pretty small. Hang on. Maybe I can make it bigger. Yeah, that's better. Although you can't see the whole team, but all right. So this is a team where I'm punting guard stats. So let me take the question off so you can see. So I'm punting assists. I'm punting threes. I'm punting points, and I'm punting free throw percentage. So 4 categories. So I'm basically punting guards. So I'm targeting bigs. And then my swing category, or my 5th category, is steals. Because there are guards you can draft, players you can draft that are high in steals, but don't hit their free throws necessarily and get out of position rebounds. Amen Thompson being a prime example of that. So if you look at this team here, if I scroll down, I have Anthony Davis, OG Anunoby, and Charles Bassey in my injury spot. I will be moving him probably. Let's do that right now. Move Mark Williams into IL Plus and move Charles Bassey to my bench. So Mark Williams, Anthony Davis, OG Anunoby. So Anunoby fits that build sort of. He's not particularly efficient all the time, and that is a bit of a downside to him. But I have Mark Williams, I have Anthony Davis, I have Day'Ron Sharpe, I have Goga Bitadze, I have Precious Achiuwa, Nick Richards, Jalen Duren, Matkovic, I might drop him, Walker Kessler, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Amen Thompson. So my field goal percentage is locked in, so I can draft some of those guys. So you can see I've got a lot of bigs, I've got a lot of centers, shot blocking, rebounds, field goal percentage, low turnovers, and then I fill my guard spots with Dyson Daniels, Jalen Williams, Ben Simmons, OG Anunoby, and Scotty Barnes and Ben Thompson. So they're all guard-eligible players, but not, other than Dyson, they're not really guards all the time. So that is one build I like to do. And then another build that I like to do, let me just bring up, loading up. So this is a team, I'll show, where are we? Okay. So this league, you can see we've redrafted. So we went like 15 rounds and then we did a complete redraft. But I'll show you what my team looked like. I finished second, it was close. It came down half a win. But I'll show you my roster in this league. So you can see this is the opposite. So this is a team where I'm punting, that's too big, where I'm punting bigs. So I want points, threes, assists, steals, free throws. So I want all guards, and yeah, I streamed a bit here, so don't worry about Clowney. He wasn't part of my build. But you can see my roster there mostly. Yeah, there we go. So Dyson Daniels also fits this build. Very good in steals, handy in assists. He hits some threes, but not really. His free throws are not good. But you can see that I've built this team around Trae Young, Jordan Poole, Cam Johnson, Norm Powell, Devin Vassell, LaMelo Ball, Colin Sexton, Miles Bridges. All of them are 85-ish from the free throw line. So I can absorb someone like a Dyson Daniels who boosts my steals up. I need a center. So in this league, I would draft a whole lot of guards and then players that are center eligible that don't really play center. Pascal Siakam is who I had in this league. He's not great from the free throw line, but he's not terrible. In this league, so this is an auction keeper league. So last year I had Bam Adebayo as my center, who, again, he's not great from the free throw line, but he's not terrible. He gets assists, as does Siakam. Who else? What other centers fit this build? Actually, I've got, if I go back into here, so if I go into, well, let's pull up, this is the Old Man Squad Dynasty League that Chad was talking about. So this is a league where I'm punting big categories. So I just want guards. We also, in this league, sorry if this is dragging on too. So punting bigs. So I just want guards and I want bigs that are center eligible but aren't necessarily centers and get assists, threes. I guess the tweak in this league is it's not free throw percentage, it's free throws made. So percentages don't matter, which is why Zion is in this team, because he gets assists, he gets steals, he scores. He doesn't hit threes, but that's fine. But he gets to the line. I don't care if he shoots 60%. If he's going 6 of 10, he's still getting me 6 free throws. So that's why I have Zion. He is center eligible. I have Santi Aldama. Now, this is a deeper league. Our rosters are very deep. So it's more like it's almost like a 20-team league, because our rosters are like 28 deep or something. So, yeah, that's why my centers are pretty random. But Zion, I've got Brandon Clark. Yeah, he's more of a... And again, this is Dynasty, so I drafted young. But Aldama fits that. He sort of plays center, but does he really? He hits threes. He gets some free throws. So, yeah, so there's some examples. So they're sort of the... let's stop sharing. So that's sort of where I go when I'm punting. Usually I punt bigs or I punt guards, and then I work from there. If I'm only punting 1 or 2 categories, obviously, again, there are categories that are easier to punt together. I'm just reading up on... Oh, OG Anunoby is playing tonight. Okay. Let's have a look if Chua starts or McBride starts. Yes, if I'm only punting 1 or 2 categories, if you're punting 1, it's fine. You just pick a category and you punt based on your first 2 or 3 picks. If you're punting 2, there are categories that go better together. So if you're punting blocks, then you're probably going to punt rebounds. If you're punting points, probably going to punt maybe threes with that. Assists sort of go together with steals to some degree. But like punting assists and rebounds to me would make no sense, because they're 2 very different kinds of players. So I would usually punt. If you're punting 1 category, I would punt 2. I think it just makes sense. And it's easy to do. It's when you jump to 3 or 4 that it gets trickier, because you don't leave a lot of room for error. So anyway, that's I do punting episodes before the season as well. Yeah, look, fair question, Galahad. Is it worth trying to have a balanced squad? Look, it is. Roto, yes. In a head-to-head, I think it's okay. I think you can have a balanced squad. Heading into the playoffs, I'd probably shift to punting at least 1 or 2 categories. But look, you can win with a balanced squad, because it means you can beat anyone on any given week. I don't have that flexibility in a lot of my leagues. If I, for whatever reason, lose blocks, I'm not really in a position to be able to then go and win points or win threes, because I'm just not built that way. The reason I do that build, or a build like that, though, is that my hope is, and a good example is those leagues where I've lost Anthony Davis, I've built a strong enough lead in the categories that he's good at, blocks, field goal percentage, rebounds, that losing him makes it tighter, but I can still win those categories. So that's the hope, is that you can absorb these injuries at the back end of the season and have built a team strong enough in 5 categories that losing someone like an Anthony Davis isn't going to ruin your season. Because in a head-to-head, we know 1 week and you can be done, especially when in the playoffs. All right. That'll do. That was long. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go and do some stuff. I'll be back with a post-game show later today. We are heading out. Well, movies and wife's birthday today, so we're doing some stuff, but that won't be till later. So I will be back with a post-game show at some point. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please go and download and like and subscribe and thumb and do everything. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep pre-game show. Until next time, catch ya.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at